In the absence of the chairman, I'll call this evening's meeting to order at 5:13 p.m. First thing, just bring to the board, there's been a request from the folks that had the Rotary float that displayed a 250th birthday cake, similar to the one that was a 200th anniversary birthday cake back in '66. And the question is, they'd like to put it in that little triangle, that grassy triangle at South Tamworth between the church and Union Hall. And I have an image here, and the thought is it would be in keeping with what we had 50 years ago. The cake's not quite to scale, but you know, it seemed like a nice place to put it, and the only issue that has been raised is whether or not that's truly town property. But assuming there's no issues, I would certainly like to see it there. It'd be neat to have it there and replicate 50 years ago, and a nice little 250th anniversary welcome to people coming in from 25. Do you have any input on that, Steve?
I think it's a great idea, and I think Union Hall Road is a town road, so.
Well, it draws extra attention to Union Hall. They're trying to get things up and running, and so I just think that's kind of a neat thing if we can make it work.
You bet.
I know they're anxious to offload it off their float as soon as they can, so as soon as we get that cleared up, we should let them know if they can do it. Anything from the public regarding that?
That was a great idea.
Perfect. Well, that's 3 votes right there. You, me, and Rosalind. All right. Nothing else on that?
I'm good.
All right. Michael Ames.
Yes.
So I asked Mike to bring, either bring or, you know, decide, put together bills for what we own for 2013, 2014, 2015 and work and materials. Because that's been hanging around for forever. And the other thing is, I think it was John that asked if we get Mike in about the a possible bump out to solve the problem over there on the west side, the 16 by 24 space. So we're hoping that we can get some bills.
Yep.
And
Yep. I have the as far as the information for all the materials.
oh, great.
That was, you know, presented, and I still have. So my thought was present you guys with the bills. We can, you know, square everything up and then basically start fresh from
Great.
square one. And yeah, because they were from back in 2014.
Yeah.
So
Goes back a couple of years.
yeah.
What about, you know, it wasn't a situation where we had a plan and we asked you to bid on it. We asked you to do the plan, voice data, electric, heating, you know, you had to put that together.
Yeah.
The floor plan that we had for both things that went down in flames at town meeting were just, you know, blank drawings for all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
One of them had furniture in it, but that we didn't need that plan. We could have figured that out.
Yeah, the first plan was a sketch that I had
Yeah.
put together, and then it wasn't, you know, there was no architect involved. And then the second plan, there was an architect involved. So,
But, I mean, somebody ought to get paid for materials list, the voice data drops,
yep.
the lighting, the HVAC, so.
Yeah, because there was a number of different subs involved between the electric.
Correct.
You know, I can't speak for them because, you know, I don't know what their thoughts on that would be. You know, I don't want to charge the town for something that.
Right.
But as far as on my end, you know, I can definitely
Great.
get that together, which I don't, you know, like as far as that goes, as far as the labor, I guess you could say, you know, my prepping everything, you know, I wasn't originally going to charge for that because it was basically going to be, the job was going to happen, but I just want to make sure that it's, you know, if it's going to move forward, you know, because this would be a third time that has been pushed forward, and you know, I definitely would like some type of reimbursement for the legwork that's been involved. I mean, there was quite a few hours involved between meetings and prepping everything, and, you know, there's been a lot of subs involved with 2 different plans, so, I wanted to make sure that, you know, I don't know what the process would be between the town and me, but, I would also like to get everybody else involved that was involved, so that we can ensure that everybody's taken care of properly, and, so I just wanted to make sure beforehand, in discussing with everybody on the board, what the next step would be, I guess I should say, before I got everybody else involved, and, you know, if the process is gonna move forward with a different plan, then, you know, it would be involving the same local subcontractors.
Yeah, I'm just one of us, and I know that, you know, everybody's got a different idea about what would be best, but I don't think, I would hope that nobody does much of anything in terms of purchasing materials, et cetera, until
Yeah.
after the day after town meeting, as opposed to before, because everybody gets stuck
Yeah.
if we get ahead of ourselves. But it'd be great if you can give us, if you
Yeah.
get us a bill for the materials.
Yep, I have all that.
And then get us a bill for, you know, we paid the architect pretty hefty fee
Yeah.
for the outline of that.
Yeah,
And,
I bet.
And then there's the other stuff that went into that plan, and you know, that was premature.
Mhm.
We should have held off until we had money in hand and then asked for
Sure, exactly.
but.
It was a verbal.
Yeah.
It seemed like it was gonna fly, and it just didn't fly twice
Yeah,
here, so.
yeah.
Right. And it's, I mean, it was pretty, they didn't shoot us, but it was pretty close, you know.
Yeah.
And-
Oh, I bet, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, folks want to know, and so the earlier we have the plan in place, and
Yeah.
if that's a decision to do something, you know, then we come
Mhm.
and ask you to plan a thing out, and that, again, you know, that's this year's funds, but wait on kicking the materials certainly in until
Yeah.
after.
You know, and I don't mind, you know, I'm a resident of the town, so, you know, as far as, the thing that I'm just worried about, most worried about, is the materials that were, you know, that I floated, definitely that.
Yeah.
You know, as far as the time frame with me, meetings, getting together with all the subs, I mean, there was quite a few hours involved, so.
Yeah.
I definitely will, you know, I definitely want to work something out, but I just wanted to make sure that I'm doing it the proper way, before I get everybody else involved again. Because you know, they probably would like to get some sort of reimbursement as well.
Sure. I mean,
It's
it
not-
would
You know,
have
it's
been,
not just me, I'm looking out for everybody else as well.
and your subs were gonna be your subs.
Mhm.
I mean, their work would have been included in
Yep.
the general cost,
Right,
and that didn't happen, so, you know, they're out there, haven't done the work without.
yep, yep,
So I'm okay with what he's saying.
Right, I think that's what we've all expected is,
Yes.
you know, when it didn't go through, we knew we were gonna have to cover the
Mhm.
cost one way or the other. And
yeah, and I have all that with me, so I don't know if that's something that who I would present that to, at this time now, or at a different time, or?
Either way, if you wanna leave it with us now, we'll put it on somebody's desk with a note that, there's another portion of the bill, bill's coming. And, or you can wait and put everything in at once,
Yep.
you know,
All right,
good deal.
okay, sounds good to me.
I got a couple of questions about that thing that,
Mhm.
I'm personally in favor of that 16 by 24, because I think it's at least as big, and if it's, depending upon how much a square footage you can get in a 16 and 24 foot slab, if it's on a slab or something, it's bigger than what they have now, and, I mean, they would be, you can see where that would start from across the hall. You could be at the town clerk or tax collector and look across to the assessing officer, at least one of them.
Mhm. Yep,
So, I'm assuming that on a 16 by 24 foot footprint, you could get certainly 14 by 22 feet of usable space, and that's,
Sure.
and probably, you know, half a foot more.
It all depends on, you know, what you're looking to utilize that space for, how many people, and some is just for desks,
Right,
placement of
right.
volunteers or employees.
Yeah, I'm hoping that this, you know, this is, there's a lot of people doing volunteer work for the town, and they got all of this stuff. This is their office for all intents and purposes, and they're pretty, they wanna hold on to it, you know, they're nice people.
Yeah.
Just excuse me for a minute. But we'll tell them, Mr. Floyd. So, John also is worried about frost wall, and he was worried that it was gonna impinge on that handicap thing, which, you know, was costly and rightly so, you know, gotta have it. But it's not gonna, the 24 feet stops at the post, as far as I know. So, I came up with 34.8, which is probably being cheeseball about the other $200 that I should have been, but we're supposed to discuss this on the 14th and decide whether we will or won't put something in. And if that's pretty reasonable, you know, I don't know if you were thinking slab or frost wall and foundation or you know, crawl space or whatever.
It was gonna be a basic slab,
Yeah,
just, you know, to start, to kind of get a starting point,
yeah,
because there was really no architect or anybody involved in that
right.
at that point, where there was in the second project, so, it was gonna be a basic slab, because it's just basically office space, you don't need anything, too crucial unless there's, as far as engineering goes, depending on the loads of the roof, because you have an existing roof that we're gonna be tying into. So, there's a little bit more involved, when you get into that situation. But it would basically be on a slab. You know, we could definitely do a frost wall, I mean, it definitely wouldn't hurt. But we would probably need an architect involved for that, since there are already issues up there.
Sure.
I don't really know what's up, I'm assuming it's trussed. I haven't been up in the attic space yet, but I'm assuming it's trussed.
I know it is that way. I've never been upstairs, but I've watched somebody go, and I'm not sure how it is here.
Yeah, so I mean, when you're getting into a valley situation like that already has issues, when you're getting into adding another load or extending a load onto what's existing, if it wasn't designed for that to begin with, then we might have to go a different route. But if it's just office space, you know, keeping it, you know, it's not a huge area, so keeping it simple is the best bet.
Yeah, I think that.
Rather than over-engineering, I mean, it's not.
Is 34.8, 35, is that reasonable or?
Oh, was that as far as the price? It's probably in the ballpark. You know, to be honest with you, I haven't. That was
Sure.
The figure was kind of a rough figure based on square footage. But you know, once you get other people involved, like I said, that would be something that would have to be designed.
Sure.
Knowing what the existing structure is, we'd have to figure out exactly what we would have to entail to do it properly, I guess you could say, using the existing structure. But as far as price point goes, that was basically a really rough
You bet.
cost per square foot.
Yep, which I told folks, yeah.
Yep, without, you know, as far as, you know, you got heat, and I'm not sure exactly what you would heat that with, but, right, it would have to.
And I don't know if the heating plant that we got now would be sufficient to, it's pretty quirky now.
Yeah, right. It's kind of what my thought was as far as getting the plans for the existing structure, find out what it is and what it would entail to add anything. You know, if what you have, the heating source, if it's maxed out now, you know, what would the next step be? Would it be like a mini split system, Renai system, or something that could just, you know, heat that area? You obviously try to use what you have here for a heating source.
Right.
But knowing BTUs, what you have now, and what it would entail to heat that extra square footage, would entail, obviously, knowing what we would need. And as far as the figures go, like I said, it was a basic rough,
Yeah,
without getting back into the whole, we'd already gone through 2 different levels of, without getting too deep into another project and not knowing. I really didn't want to get into that without a final approval, I guess you could say.
and it might be 2 years away. I'm looking to get something into the capital improvement program plan
Yep.
for design, engineering is, you know, that should be I mean, it's part of the project, but that should be a separate thing from,
Yeah.
and then also for, you know, if it's 2 years from now, we'd have certainly a better idea after getting some cash to do the plan and then
Sure.
doing it.
Yeah, but you know, when you get into a project like that, you want to make sure that it's like building a house. You don't build a house without plans. You don't
Yeah.
backtrack. You don't build a house and then say, oh,
Right,
should have done it this way. This is especially, you know, with a public building. You know, taking the right steps, proper steps. Obviously, everybody knows that, but
I was ready to write it off when I first, you know, looked at that empty space because of the roof thing, but it's not, that's one of these, at least in the main building, you know, it's one of these things from what they say. There's no, we had once considered that area for storage or et cetera.
it's not designed for that. I
No.
doubt it's designed
No.
for that. No.
I guess it's good enough to put a heat and cooling
Right.
system in.
Yeah.
But that's
And
it.
that's why usually commercial buildings, they're in the attic,
Yeah.
so.
So, I know John was concerned that the figure was way too low, but before we,
Yeah,
Do
knowing
something.
exactly, there's so many different steps that you can, or different ways of doing it, going about it. You know, I see it all the time. It's either people say, whoa, you know, where are those figures coming from, or, wow, that's really, really cheap, you know. I mean, it all depends on who you talk to.
sure,
And it was just a completely rough figure.
Absolutely.
Without knowing any facts.
the whole idea was to see if it was anywhere near, I mean, originally, we started this, we got 2 bids from pro bono architects. One was for $250,000 and the other one was $425,000. Well, we're not gonna spend, you know, for the rest of everybody's life, we're not
Yeah.
gonna spend that kind of money. But what they were trying to do was replicate the entire nurses' space up there, which is pretty big space. And one guy came up with, look, the only way to do this is just start all over again, keep going out and put another structure up there, ask the nurses to move there and take over their area. But
Yeah.
it was, you know, huge.
Oh, yeah, I mean, without, like I said, without knowing what the structure is, I mean, it could be a ton more.
Yeah,
I mean, a ton more, it's
Sure.
just, it's not knowing what the existing structure is, without knowing the plan, seeing the plans, having somebody involved, liability wise,
yeah.
you know, fortunately, that's the way things go now, everybody's worried about liability. And, you know, I'm a resident here, I don't want a bad name, and
Sure.
having the steps done properly is very crucial.
And-
Residential or commercial, it doesn't matter what you do. But as far as the numbers go, that was super, you know, that was just a number that I.
Oh, right, and it was, I just was with you there, figuring, what's the going rate for
Yeah.
square footage, but a lot of times, but the engineering, the architectural, that's, I think, in addition to, I was not, and that would be,
Mhm.
that would be prelude to everything.
You said one was 450?
Oh, this was the original thing.
That was to build on
That's why we
down
came up with
here.
a townhouse,
Yeah.
this, the first Plan A, Plan B, because we're
Well, you
looking
said
at
one was 450 and one was 2 something?
250 to
Yeah.
replicate that entire space back there
Right.
somehow, but one was just add on to that north end,
Yeah.
and the other one was to build a structure equal to that square footage,
Mhm.
and then move the nurses up there and we take over their whole area.
Mhm.
We need more space, but we don't need that much more space.
Yeah, it was one of their points they were making is, the space you're trying to do, it's gonna exceed what the heating system can do. So if you're gonna
Yeah.
go put another system, you might as well replicate that whole
Mhm.
size, and that was, way outside of what we were looking to ever spend.
Right.
I mean, for that money, we could start over almost.
Right, oh yeah, right.
But, when Steve brought it to us, realizing it's a rough figure, if that was remotely feasible to bump out here, again, accommodating the roof issues, frost wall, whatever else, it would definitely be worth, entertaining, because that would be a far cheaper option,
Yeah.
because we keep needing more space
Mhm.
all the time. It's no different than your house. As soon as you build it, you wish you had a little more.
Right.
And
That's
so
the way it is.
forth.
Yeah, I mean, we would definitely have to figure out final
Absolutely.
final figures as far as everything.
Yeah.
From excavation to finish, and not knowing. Would be, I would feel much, much more comfortable.
Sure. And in
And I
the
hate throwing
discussion,
numbers out, that's the worst thing. People always say, what do you think? And you said you throw a number out, and they fall to the ground, or they're jumping for joy.
Or if
Right.
you give them a range, they only hear the low number, they never hear the
Yeah,
high number.
Right.
right, and when I said that, I thought it would include no professional design function,
Oh, yeah.
and I was not sure about HVAC.
Yeah, right.
But I figured there was a chance that basic structure would be, no furniture, none of that might, given that it might not include HVAC and
Right.
engineering.
And I didn't include that because I can't speak for them,
Absolutely.
unless they're involved.
Right.
Because this original plan was including the existing heating source, the plan that was for this
Right.
room and for that room. So, when you're getting into all these extra people that are involved, I can't speak for them, and I wouldn't without them being involved. That's because that's what they specialize in.
Oh, yeah,
So,
absolutely.
I don't specialize in HVAC.
And even an HVAC guy might look at that and say, gee, I don't know,
Right.
depends what with X modifications, it'll cost you Y, it might suffice, and they
Right.
might have to do more than that.
Mm-hmm.
There's gonna come a time when we gotta do something probably about that system.
They only last so long,
Yeah, right.
so.
Okay, I'm set, thank you. I just, I didn't want to belabor the point with you, but it's something we ought to take a look at, and if we're leaning that way, we ought to put some money someplace so we can save a little bit of money for us too when, we're buying graders
Sure.
and legitimate.
Right, and I think what we took from this is he's locked in at 34.8, so we can.
Right, Mike
Gonna
says,
lock me in, right?
Mike says he can do it for 34.7.
No, I appreciate you coming in and give us a
Yeah.
better idea where we're at.
Yeah, and it's, and everything was so open-ended before that,
And that was one of our missteps in hindsight, when
yeah, it is what, to be honest with you, it didn't bother me, really. I mean, as long as, everybody's on the same plane, and, as far as reimbursement goes, I knew it's gonna get worked out eventually,
Yep.
I'm a resident, everybody's a resident of the town, and it eventually worked its way out, so, and it's at that point now,
Good deal.
so, I don't like holding grudges, and it's just, life's too short, so.
Well, I went along with, I'm one of the people that got ahead of myself, sitting here. Didn't cost me any money.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. So we first and foremost, we gotta make that right.
Yeah, yeah. As far as starting from square one again,
Sure.
I think it's time. Getting everything, keeping everybody happy and starting from square one is the best, you know, best route.
Cool. All right, so you can leave some with us now if you want, or
Yeah.
you can wait until everything's together, whichever is better for you.
Yeah, no, I think now that I know kind of all the facts, I'll make some calls and get
Great.
everybody together and, you know, see what their thoughts are, because like I said, I don't want to speak for anybody else.
And we're hoping that when something finally gets done, it's the same people, you know, it's,
Oh, and it will be, yeah.
yeah, nice to have taxpayer, you know, I mean, they're paying for it.
Right.
Along with everybody else, so it's nice to
Yep.
shop local.
And they haven't contacted me, so if they were worried about it, then they would.
Yeah.
You've heard.
But
Yeah, I hear it all the time.
What's right is right, we asked you to do it. You know?
Yeah.
Good.
So, I'll make some calls and see what everybody thinks, and I'll present everything
Great,
from this point on, where we are, where we stand, and we'll go from there.
good deal.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks, Mike.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Your time, once again.
My excuse.
Yes, you can go.
All right. I can go on the boat now?
Same as we tell the department heads, get out of here before the questions start. Do we have anything else, or are we ready to recess?
Recess, I'm good if you're good.
Yeah, I'm good, yeah. Make a motion that we recess until 6 o'clock for our public hearing.
Yep, done.
All in favor?
Aye.
Recess.
Had the meeting started for the water thing?
No, we had other business to go, so we recessed that meeting to still be in a public session. This part is, we had a couple other things to attend to that started at 5. You all good to go, Steve?
I'm good.
Okay. I'm going to open the public hearing on the proposed community wastewater treatment and collection system, emergency repairs, CDBG application.
Yeah, I'm Donna Lane, I'm a CDBG consultant, and I'm gonna read to you because we have to, so bear with me for a moment.
Also, real quick, before we get started, if anybody'd like a copy of this, there are copies on that
Handout.
front chair in front of John.
Community development block grant funds are available to municipalities through the New Hampshire Community Development Finance Authority. Up to $500,000 annually is available on a competitive basis for public facility and housing projects, up to $500,000 for economic development projects, and up to $350,000 for emergency activities. All projects must directly benefit primarily low and moderate income persons. Up to $12,000 per study is available for planning grants. This is a proposed application to the Community Development Finance Authority for up to $350,000 in community development block emergency grant funds. The town will retain some of the funds for administrative expenses and sub-grant the benefits of the remainder to the Tamworth Village Association for the upgrades to the community wastewater treatment and collection system. The majority of the system's users are low and moderate income. The project conforms with Tamworth's Housing and Community Development Plan's goal of encourage municipal and private water and wastewater systems that are safe, sanitary, and that meet DES regulations, which is the short-term and long-term goal.
I have a
Is there
question.
any public comment?
Yeah, I do. There's a statement in there that I don't agree with. The majority of the system users are of low to moderate income. Now, the people that are on the system, if you go from the corner east, there's nobody on it other than the apartment building and Nate Hughes. Okay, everybody else has their own septic system. Okay. Down here, I'm not totally sure. This is on the septic system. Is the Lyceum on the septic system? Sir,
Are you?
Yep.
I assume so.
it is. Okay, I don't think they're low to moderate income. I don't think the townhouse is low to moderate income.
Can I respond?
Yes, you can answer better than I can.
We don't
how this
consider
thing goes.
municipal we don't consider commercial properties, we consider residential properties, and an income survey was conducted.
Who do you conduct a survey with?
Rural.
No,
What's the
the
official?
people that's on the system.
They did, it's a company that does income surveys that are accepted by federal programs, and they did it on the residents that were on the system.
There's only a handful of people on the system.
It just, there may only be a handful, but they just had to show that the majority of them were low and moderate income.
That's not true. So how are you gonna use the false pretenses to get money to fix the system?
Well, it's a organization that is used by these funding sources all the time, so they trust their results. So they did an income survey and they have results, and that's what we're submitting.
That doesn't answer my question. The people on the system currently, there may be, I can't think of anybody in this town
I
that's
think there
low
were
moderate.
15 residences, was it
No.
not 15?
May I comment to this?
You have some down, Jim.
I did the income survey. I went door to door.
People on the system.
People that are on the system. And there are more people than you agree. We have a fair number of apartments with people that have low incomes in those apartments. Yes, we have some people on the system that would not be considered low income. But when you averaged it out with the people on the survey, and John, I tell you, I knocked at every darn door and talked to people directly and gathered that data.
Okay, that's neither here nor there right now. My question, first off, is why wasn't the person that initially installed it forced to come back to straighten out the mess?
I can respond to that.
Ken?
Yeah. The New Hampshire has an 8-year statute of repose and a 3-year statute of limitations, all of which have expired. And no one's really sure why the system didn't function properly. It may have something to do with initial construction defects, but there is no remedy available against the original installer.
All right, so what's the cost estimate to straighten out the, what is the pump that's went bad?
To upgrade the system, which includes a repair and replacement of the leach fields, will be probably, with a total grant is $300,000. I think it'll be less than that.
And that's not something that the taxpayers are being asked to.
I understand that, it's federal money we're talking
It's-
about,
it's-
okay? And it's something that should have been addressed from day one because that system was bad from the day it was put in. And he could vouch for that, the thing was overflowing.
So why did you
I'm not on it.
You should have volunteered to be on the TVA, and you could have done it. It's all volunteer help.
No, I think if anybody who was aware of it should have brought it to the attention right from the start to have the thing fixed. I'm a little upset you're taking government funds to fix something that should have been remedied from the
You want
start.
to do private funds instead? You want to come out of your wallet?
Scotty, you know what I'm talking about. This is ridiculous.
Right. But we had a bunch of volunteer people. They didn't have a setup for anybody to take care of the system originally. So this is what happens when you have a situation where there's no oversight. So
Who-
don't complain about it, John. Just
I'm
let's
not
move ahead and
complaining
fix
about
it.
it. I, as a
If we
taxpayer,
could focus everything up
as a
this way,
taxpayer, I
I
feel
get
like I
this,
should have a voice.
John, I get that everyone's got their feelings and there may have been missteps. It's before I was involved in any of it, but right now the issue is trying to correct it, and I feel fairly confident in saying that the current village association is going to have better oversight moving forward. We can't change what was done. Mr. Cargill said we're beyond any recourse with the people that installed it, so we have to look at our best option now to try to correct. I see where you're coming from. We don't want to waste federal funds because whether we call it a grant or whatever, it's all our money at some point. It's just trickled down different, whatever. But the issue tonight is to look at how we can remedy the situation, and this grant appears to be our best situation to remedy that. And I'm not to speak for any of the TVA members that are here, but I feel fairly confident that stuff's gonna be watched a little more closely at such time as this gets repaired and move forward so we don't have a repeat. And that addressed your concerns?
Absolutely.
You got anything else, Scott?
Nope.
We all set to move forward? Is there any further public comment?
I'd like to make a public comment. I'd like to thank Norman for his involvement. I'm sure this is not what he originally signed up for, but without his knowledge and ability and persistence, we wouldn't be where we are. So I want to publicly
Absolutely.
thank Norman. I also want to thank the select board for holding this public hearing, because
That's
this
right.
is not a public system, and you guys didn't have to do this, so I thank you very much for
Absolutely.
stepping up and holding the public hearing. And I would further ask you to keep this in the back of your mind with other things that you have, because wink wink, this could be a further benefit to the town, not just the
Oh,
village,
well.
but the town and government, if Norm's long-term plans move forward, so.
You know, we won't press no for any longer.
No, I'm just saying that I thank you guys for your involvement, but I urge you to keep that in the back of your mind. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd just like to say, as a person that's downwind of the failed system, hello, nobody else in the village is affected by the downwind fail of the system, but I sure be, and I just want to get it fixed.
Southwest wind, right?
Hey, it ain't so much fun in the summertime with the windows open, and you got a failed big septic system coming through your windows.
How's your fly population?
Yeah, so between that and the gravel pit, I guess I should probably just move, huh?
Good luck with that.
This will get resolved.
Good.
Are we all set with the public comment at this point?
And just if I could, regarding the aesthetics of it, we did put down over 600 pounds of pelletized lime on that, and quite a bit, probably an equal amount of sand. And although I don't expect construction to start immediately, we can put more lime and more sand on it to try and keep those odors to a minimum.
And Norman did that himself. He went out there and dumped that stuff on it, so thank you, Norman.
All right, at this point, I'm gonna close the public comment. We'll close the public hearing. Now we're going to open a public hearing on the Housing Community Development Plan. Turn it over to Donna.
And everybody has to have every municipality asking for CDBG funds has to have a housing and community development plan, which just outlines some goals that you have. And Tamworth has one, they've had it for a while. And the last one was adopted in 2009. It outlines the housing and community goals. No changes, we made a moderate change, but not substantial, just a little bit of wording on one. So anyway, it's pretty brief, I can go through it quickly for you, but this has already been adopted previously, it's just a re-adopt. The town of Tamworth commits to the following goals to meet its housing and community development needs: encourage a varied stock of safe, sanitary, decent, and affordable housing for persons of all age and income groups; encourage economic development activities to increase appropriate industrial and commercial development consistent with the town's master plan; encourage the expansion and retention of employment opportunities for residents; encourage municipal and private water and wastewater systems that are safe, sanitary, meet DES regulations, which is obviously the goal we're talking about today; preserve and promote the town's historically and culturally significant structures; promote activities that protect the health and safety of residents and visitors. And when you ask for CDBG funds, you have to have these three policy statements. As a matter of policy, Tamworth will minimize the involuntary displacement of households from their neighborhoods. These goals are consistent with Tamworth's master plan and ordinances. And any federal CDBG grant funds awarded to address any of these goals shall be expended consistent with national objectives and shall, at a minimum, provide improved housing in accordance with Section 8 standards, be used for public facility projects, employment opportunity, or feasibility studies. All CDBG funded projects shall primarily benefit low and moderate income persons or households and shall not benefit moderate income households or persons to the exclusion of low income persons or households. So again, you've adopted this in the past. The modification was just a minor. Instead of saying quality jobs, we were saying appropriate jobs. And so, do the selectmen have questions on the housing committee? Again, it's been adopted a few times before, but it has to be updated at least every 3 years, and yours was too old, so it's back again.
Do you have anything, Steve?
I'm good.
Is there anything from the public on this portion?
Can I ask who adopts that?
The Board of Selectmen
Board of
adopts it.
Selectmen. Thank you.
That's all coming later on, I believe. Got
Yes.
the paper right here, so I don't skip anything. All right, I'm going to close public comment and close this public hearing. Now I'm going to open a public hearing on the residential anti-displacement and relocation assistance plan.
And this is kind of funny for our project because it isn't relevant to our project. But every time you ask for CDBG, which again is Community Development Block Grant Funds, every time you ask for CDBG funds, you have to adopt the anti-displacement and relocation assistance plan. So we've done it in the past here before because you've had CDBG funds. So even though it's not relevant to what we're doing, we have to adopt it. So, although this project does not involve any displacement or relocation, if we were doing a different project it might matter, but not this one. If the town were to undertake a CDBG project, now that's important, a CDBG project, which involved displacement or relocation, they would follow this plan. The plan outlines measures they would take to find comparable suitable housing for persons or businesses displaced or relocated. Basically, if you use federal funds, you have to follow the Uniform Relocation Act if you're gonna do that kind of stuff. But it's, again, last time you asked for CDBG, you adopted it, you're adopting it again newly, but it's just a form and all you do is fill in the town's name.
Just to keep us current.
Yeah.
Do you have anything, Steve?
Nothing.
Does the public have anything for this portion? All right, I'm going to close the public hearing. I'll make a motion that we readopt the Housing and Community Development Plan.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'm going to make a motion to adopt the Anti-Displacement and Relocation Assistance Plan.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion that we approve the submittal and application and vote to authorize the chairman of the Board of Selectmen to sign and submit the application, and upon approval of the CDBG application, authorize the chairman of the Board of Selectmen to execute any documents which may be necessary to effectuate the CDBG contract and any amendments thereto.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's it, you can go back to your regular meeting now.
Very well.
That's your commercial. And then we'll just have John sign when he pops in, no biggie.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you just email me the stuff when it's scan it, and that's all. Good, thanks so much.
Donna, thank you.
Thank you guys.
Do you have anything else? Are you ready to adjourn?
I'm okay with adjourning, but I
Yeah,
gotta
we
get.
get one now.
I assume nobody else has anything for
Can't
us?
spell Jamie.
Good job.
Thank you. Folks, before you leave, Steve's trying to get spelling on a couple names. We're going to move to adjourn as soon as he gets that.
I don't know how to spell Jamie and I don't know how you last name. But in a minute, Steve.
Do you want to get that after we adjourn? Or you want?
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
Okay, make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. 6:14.